Hey, one more thing before you go. Grab your favorite brew, settle into your coziest chair, and join us for a delightful conversation brimming with a Hollywood buzz. Because what are we going to talk about today, Diane?
The Oscars.
Oscars 2025. You
Woohoo.
know, next year I think we should do this probably a week before to give everybody a chance to kind of catch up a little bit. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but that's okay because,
Yep.
there's a lot of
That's all
people
right.
wait for the Oscars and then they go see the movies.
That's true.
There are some people that do that.
That's true.
Well, if that's the case, stay tuned because we're diving into the glitz and the glamour of the upcoming 2025 Oscars. It's starting in just in a few hours, actually. They're
hmm
on the red carpet as we speak, I believe.
Uh, Almost.
Together, we'll explore some of this year's top contending movies and actors who are turning heads on the red carpet. From powerhouse performances to unforgettable stories, we're breaking down the films, at least the ones that we've seen. We've seen six of the nine,
Yes.
actually.
Which is
And
a record for us, I think.
it is. And
Yeah.
talent shaping this year's awards season. So raise your cups and toast to an exciting peek into Hollywood's biggest night. I'm your host, Michael Hurst. I'm here with my lovely wife and co host, Diane.
Hello. Happy Oscar Sunday.
Welcome to One More Thing Before You Go over the Teacup Sunday Oscars 2025. Hello to Hollywood.
Hollywood.
That's all I'm going
Dun,
to
dun,
sing
dun,
because
dun,
we
dun,
don't want to
dun,
pay for
dun,
the
dun,
rest of the
dun.
rights, right?
Well, if you hum it, is it still,
uh,
you can't hum
uh,
it either?
I have no idea. I know
Hmm.
you can use like 10 seconds of something before they come
Okay.
back and you say, "Hey, we
Well,
want money, honey."
I guess we did 10 seconds then, or less than.
And we'll have to say, "We don't have any money." So we can't sing. We can only sing "Hello to Hollywood." Although that might be in
Public domain.
the public domain. If it's in the public
Because it's
domain,
pretty old.
it is
That's pretty
pretty
old.
old.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd have to go back and see that. If that's the case, I'll come back and sing it. What the hell?
Okay.
Uh, So, what
Mm.
an amazing group of movies and uh, actors and photography and directing and writing and intrigue and thrilling entertainment, outright exhilarating in some cases,
Yeah.
and so much more in this group of Oscar nominations this year.
Yeah. And we also have some feelings about some of them. We got some feelings.
We do, we do. We've had the pleasure of
Yeah.
watching. Well, I have six watched. You have five watched. Because
Yes.
Dune, you haven't watched Dune, and
Mm-mm.
I'm actually almost through Dune Part Two. So of the 10 film nominations, it's uh, my track is six, yours is five, but still,
hmm
and the only
It's pretty
reason we
good.
didn't see the other ones that we didn't see, the only reason is because they weren't available to us. We either had to go to a movie
Right.
theater, and one of them is not in our area. And so
hmm
that was difficult for us to go even try to attempt that. And
Yeah.
then I'm Still Here is the name of the movie.
I
And
want to
then,
see it.
yeah, I want to see it too. But,
Yeah.
in the Brutalist, we were going to rent the Brutalist, but they wanted $29 to rent it. And that's like 29 bucks.
I'm sorry.
Uh,
I'm
you
sure
know,
it's great, but no.
yeah, it's kind of one of those, yeah. And Nickel Boy, same thing. You
hmm
couldn't rent it, you had to buy it. And, so I appreciate the fact that they're trying to make money. I appreciate the fact this is where the industry is going. We had a conversation about that earlier when we were watching CBS Sunday Morning,
Yeah.
and the
hmm
fact that, you know, we've talked about this before. You and I both know we um, our we used to live in a movie theater for a good
hmm
portion of. I mean, we've been together for over 35 years,
hmm
and we lived in the movie theater. In fact,
Yeah, we went all the time.
and even when they had
hmm
dates before Kate and Corey got married, when they were still dating everything, and when Nikki was dating, it was always like uh, 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 Christmas. We go to a Christmas movie. It'd always be a Christmas
Yeah.
movie. It'd be like, hey, the Hearst,
Everyone's birthdays, each
everybody's
person's
birthdays.
birthday.
Go to the
Everybody
movies.
got a birthday movie that they wanted to see, and
Yeah.
everybody went.
Every
hmm
Tuesday, we did our best to get to a movie because of the $5 movies that AMC
Uh,
used to have. AMC. And we're Hollywood buffs, so I appreciate the support of the Hollywood community. And I know that everybody's got to make money, but when the ticket prices started rising, even for a senior ticket, it
Hmm.
kind of, not that we're seniors,
Well, you are.
we'll just discuss this and
I mean, I am in some places, but I don't think the theater yet.
uh, but
I don't know.
even that is still expensive. They're still trying to recoup money they lost during the COVID crisis, and I
Yeah.
think that is just sad. But
Well, I think that COVID ruined them. I mean, it ruined it for me anyway because we have tried to go back to the movie theater a few times since everything opened back up, and it's been not a great
it's been a
experience.
challenge.
And I don't know if it's just around here or what,
Been a
but
challenge.
it doesn't. And, well, it's the same with restaurants too. Our favorite restaurant never came back to where it used to be after
No
COVID,
quality,
and
the quality of both the food and the
yeah,
service,
yeah,
had kind of went downhill.
it's very
Absolutely.
sad.
And
But
the thing with the movie
well, and
theater.
plus, like you pointed out, we're old, so we don't like to be around too many people.
Well, yeah, we went back to the first time we went back to movie theater. I think I came back. I came home and was sick. I got sick within a few
Yeah.
days of coming back. So
Yep.
I kind
And
of took it down.
that first time back too, I think I've mentioned this before that um we had gone to the first movie of the day, so everything should have been clean and everything,
And
and
it was nasty.
the popcorn counter was disgusting, and there was a in the theater itself there was a half empty
Whiskey
liquor
bottle.
bottle,
Yeah, whiskey bottle.
whiskey, half empty whiskey bottle, two seats down in a broken chair. So, or no, I'm sorry, that was two seats down, and then the chair in front of me was broken. So
Yeah, it was like
I'm like, I'm done. I'm not doing
disgusting.
this anymore. Yeah.
But at the same time, it's kind of one of those things where, as they were talking about this morning, the way movies are going, and we've been, and for those of you just joining us to have a better understanding, if for the last well since we've known each other, but I was involved in it even before we started dating. I've been
Hmm.
involved in independent film in some form or another, and we both were actors. We both have been in film. We have both have been in commercials. We have both, enjoyed the inside looking out from the Hollywood
Right.
industry. Our daughter is an actor. We've been on stage. All of us have been on stage at one time or another.
I meant much less than the rest of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've barely been on stage.
It's well, but yeah,
And it was only a hot minute for me
oh, a
in
hot minute.
commercials. Yeah, it wasn't that it wasn't that much. Let's be clear.
But it's we saw it from me, both major films as well as independent films. So
Hmm.
it is. Caitlin and I have been, and you have been in major Hollywood films, and as well as independent films, and
Hmm.
so we understand this. And then when I'm still with the police department, we did the film festivals,
Hmm.
and we created and hosted the first interactive film festival in the world and got
Hmm.
worldwide attention. We had, we had them in Copper Creek, Colorado, and we had an amazing attendance up there in
Yeah.
regard to it, where we built a set, and then we wrote, produced, and directed a small little short itty bitty film, show people how film was made from the inside out. And we
Hmm.
had stars that came out, an overabundance of stars that came out at the
Yeah.
same time, and then we had a couple of Oscar nominated films. One which went on to, or two which went on to win actually.
Hmm.
Two both times that we had done that
Hmm.
in the Oscars later.
Hmm.
And we had picked them as one of our winners in our film festival. And then we did screenwriting conferences where we invited 50 or more people in industry professionals, writers, directors, screenwriters. When I say writers, screenwriters, directors, producers, actors out. We had legends of Hollywood. So, we love the Hollywood atmosphere. So we're not trying to diss that. We understand everybody's got to make a living, and it's a
Yeah. Yeah.
wonderful environment to be in. But these movie
It's
theaters,
changed.
yeah, it just changed drastically.
Hmm.
But that also brings us to what we're about to say. The fact that it changed, it allowed, I think, and they talked about it this morning on CBS
Hmm.
Sunday Morning. If you watch it,
Hmm.
if you haven't, you should go check it out at least today or tomorrow when it comes on Paramount Plus. Reality is, it's easier. We have a whole home theater set up in our house.
Hmm.
That's what we ended up, really dedicating our money to in regard to, instead of going to the movie theater, we created our own
Well, it
here.
was during COVID.
during COVID because it was
Yeah.
easier to. And then when they did a lot of streaming and a lot of movie theaters, did direct to rent for you
Hmm.
at a reasonable rate, so that people could, and they still made money. So
Yeah.
we created a theater atmosphere in our home, and minus the ticket takers, and the
Or
and
the
the
$30
sticky,
popcorn.
yeah, the yeah, which cost more than the tickets,
Yeah.
or the sticky floors from that kind of stuff. But it seems like the industry is going to people watching everything on an iPhone or an iPad and
Hmm.
streaming, and that's where everything's going. But some of these films we're about to talk about, you know, you it would be a completely different film if
Right.
you watched it on your phone or on your iPad
Yes.
than you would in a movie theater.
Yeah. I don't watch movies on my phone. I just don't. I can't do. I don't watch TV on my phone either. I'm sure people who travel a lot, they probably would
Probably
need to
do.
do that. But yeah, there's just some movies that it can't, it's not the same on the phone. You have to
No,
see it
yeah,
in the
and
theater or in a
yeah,
home theater setup.
and we've taken it like the iPad with us when we've gone on a trip and
Hmm.
downloaded movies or series or TV shows and things like that and watched them along the way.
You
Um,
do.
I've done that before,
Yeah.
but for the most part, that's still difficult to have to hold that up all the time and to hold that in front of you
Hmm.
for 2 hours or 3 hours or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we've created a home movie theater, so that's what we appreciate the fact that we have the ability to do that. So when we watch Top Gun Maverick, for example, yes, I have to go back to Top Gun Maverick
Always.
or Mission Impossible, the last Mission
Hmm.
Impossible.
Hmm.
We saw it on at home, but we had the Dolby 5.1. We've got the atmosphere that you get in the movie theater without the hassle of deciding whether or not you want to walk home with a disease or having to wash your hands 12 times.
Right. Yeah.
Kind of a
Or
thing.
being just completely grossed out to the point you don't want to ever go back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that too. That's like,
Hmm.
I need assistance, and sometimes, I have to grab the railing, and, when you grab the railing, it's like you just grabbed what, 1,000 other people just had their hands on as well, and you don't know where their hands have
Yeah.
been. So,
That being said, though, one of these films we did go to the theater for
yes, we
because you
did.
have to.
You have
You have
to.
to.
Yeah, you have to. Or do it, like I say it again, in a nice environment set up at home. But
Yeah,
again,
which
let's
we're
talk.
gonna do. We're gonna rewatch it.
We are. And
Yeah.
we've got to let's tell everybody else about these films. So if you
Yeah.
haven't seen them, and I'm sure you've heard a lot of the controversy going on, but some of the films that we have seen in regard to, because there's 10 films as we said that are listed. We're going to cover at least the well, we'll say 5.5 because Diane hasn't seen Dune yet.
Right.
A little bit. We're not going to give everything away, but what our thoughts are. Emilia Perez leads the 2025 Oscar nominations. The film scored 13 nominations.
Hmm.
And we did see that. We saw it at home. We didn't see it in the movie theater,
Hmm.
but we saw it in our theater. And it set a record for a non-English film, and it surpassed the previous record of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and Roma, which each earned 10. And we love Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I think
Yeah.
even you did. You don't usually typically
Yeah.
watch
No,
those
that was a
movies.
great. That was a great movie. Yeah.
And I don't remember if we watched Roma. Um,
Yes, we did.
we did
We
watch
did.
Roma. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I remember not feeling the same as a lot of people did
yeah. Same thing here.
about
It was
Roma.
like one of those things like why,
Yeah.
whoops, why why did it was it a which we have a couple things about a couple movies in here as to why,
Where we're like,
but
why? Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But Amelia Perez, it was good. It was brilliant. It was
Oh.
done really well, and they shot it in France. It's a French film, so it's also nominated for a foreign film. In
Hmm.
addition, some
Hmm.
things with foreign film, and it was done really really well. So, Amelia Perez, it's a musical thriller about a cartel's leader's transformation and redemption. And despite the controversies, its 13 nominations include Best Picture, and it kind of highlights its impact in regard to that because it's I think that it it's a musical. They call it a musical, but
Hmm.
it's not like La La Land, for example.
No,
It's done
no.
very well. I think that the
Yeah.
music is put in at the right places. It's not overdone.
Hmm. No.
You know,
It,
it
I didn't know what to expect. I thought a musical about a drug cartel leader. Okay, what? Like I really didn't know what to expect. I wasn't even sure I wanted to see it, and it's
yeah.
actually my one of my two favorites.
And I know there's a lot of controversy going on, but just to be clear, the controversy is not necessarily about the film or the content of
No.
the film. The
Mm-mm.
controversy is about the lead actor within that film that made some comments that resurfaced, and the comments were inappropriate in certain areas.
Mm-hmm.
So we won't go in depth in regard to that. We just
No.
want to clarify that the controversy is not about the film or the content in the film.
No.
It
But
is
I think that she
outside
did
of it.
a phenomenal job,
Yeah, I would
and
say
it's
so
too
as well.
bad that this has happened. It's too bad that she said these things in the past because she did a really great job.
Well, and she's the first transgender person nominated for an Oscar, actually.
Yeah.
So in reality, she kind of stepped on her own foot by doing, what she did and what resurfaced, kind of a
Mm-hmm.
thing. But people have to be people, I guess, and that's
Mm-hmm.
just
I don't know.
the way it is, I guess.
Yeah. But it
Um,
is, I loved it. I loved the film, and I recommend everybody to see it. Seriously.
the Following Emilia Perez were the Brutalists, which we haven't seen.
No, I want to
That
see
was
it.
the one that they wanted $29 for to rent, and I thought, I want to see this, but I don't necessarily need to spend $29 to see it yet. I'll wait
Right.
till it comes out. My understanding is that he's done a brilliant portrayal within this. It's about an architect that survives the Holocaust and goes on and does some things. So I think that it deserves to be watched. But from our perspective, I think that we just didn't want to spend $29
Hmm.
to rent. I mean, just to rent it. So I didn't appreciate that.
Yeah.
And it tied with Wicked with 10 nominations apiece. Both of those
Hmm.
had 10 nominations apiece. Wicked, we did see.
Um,
And Wicked, you need to see in the movie theater if you have the opportunity still, if it's still
yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Because
I would imagine it's playing, but maybe not. I don't know. I don't keep up with it anymore.
we had said this before when we were first saying that some things are better in the movie theater because it's just an epic film in
Yeah.
that regard.
Well, and how what they did with the cinematography and everything, it just deserves a theater.
Oh, absolutely. I
I
mean,
mean, that's it.
the thing they talked about this morning on CBS Sunday Morning that I appreciated was the fact that, filmmaking has changed drastically, from the
Hmm.
times that even when I grew up, when you grew up, the films have changed in the way they make them and
Yeah.
how they make them. And you kind of see a lot more. And of course, we talked about this earlier. You and I did. You see more, instead of coming up with a lot of original ideas like we used to see,
Yeah.
it's more of like Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible is going on its, I don't know, seventh, eighth, ninth.
I lost track.
Exactly. But
I mean, they're good movies,
they're good movies.
but yeah.
And it is a continuing story that literally he's able to continue the story in such a way that we are anticipating the next one that comes out. Tom
Right.
Cruise is who we're
It
talking about, of course.
like you said, it seems like one big film, which
Yes.
most of the sequels don't feel that way, and
No.
most sequels don't really do as well. I guess Marvel would be one. Well, they've had a few Marvel ones that didn't do as well, I guess, but it seems like that's all that's out there anymore. There's hardly any comedies coming out anymore. There's
Yeah.
hardly any movies with real heart like there used to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Missing heart, missing substance, missing rom-coms, and things like
yeah.
that. They don't make a Notting Hill anymore. There's not really anything
Mhm.
close to it, or a Sleepless in Seattle, or you know what I
Now
mean.
they're making them for streaming. We've seen a
Um,
few of those over the last year that were specifically to streaming. That one with Cameron Diaz and Um,
Yeah, but
I
it's
guess that
still
wasn't really a romantic comedy. That was more of an action
it's more
thing,
of an action
comedy
thing.
action.
Yeah.
But I feel like there was something we watched that was
Well, the one with yeah, like we're aficionados and we can't remember these names. That's our age. That's my age at least.
well, it's mine too. We've got to start taking something for our brains because
Well, Twister, the guy that's in Twister, the guy that
oh,
Glenn Powell. So
Glenn Powell,
yeah,
yeah,
Glenn Powell and Sweeney,
yeah, Sydney Sweeney,
Sydney Sweeney, Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney did that rom com. Everybody was all up, like, hey, we got to find a rom com. There's another rom com. It was pretty good
it
actually,
was good.
and that was along the lines more along the lines of some of the old rom coms.
Hmm.
But life is changing. I guess people have a different outlook, and they're wanting something different. I guess it's
Well,
kind of
there was the one with Will Ferrell and Reese Witherspoon too. That's probably the last one. That was probably the one I was thinking of.
yeah, that one was good too. I think we were
Hmm.
going to do a review on that, but we didn't,
I think we did.
or we did. Maybe we did do a
I
review
think
on
we
that.
did. Yeah, I remember us
The
talking about
days
it.
are. I'm so confused. The days are running together.
I can't remember the name of it, but it was really good and I loved it. And we did a review on it.
uh, but
Oh my God.
uh, a complete unknown and Conclave followed with they had eight mentions each, eight nominations each
Nominations. Hmm.
on those there. So the complete unknown is the one with um, Timothy Chalamet, and
Hmm.
apparently he does a fantastic job embodying Bob
Bob
Dylan.
Dylan. Hmm.
I want to see that as well, but again, that's the renting. To rent it is expensive to rent it. Used to be you could
Yeah.
rent a movie online for $6 and $7. In a few of them, you still can occasionally, but they're
Hmm.
renting out for $25 and $29, and it's just so we didn't get a chance to see that. Plus, I'm not a real big Bob Dylan fan. I grew up in that era,
Yeah.
and
I've never kind of gotten the whole thing about him. I mean, that's right that he's an icon. Sure.
yeah,
Okay. I know that he stood up for a lot of causes. That's great. I love that. But never been a big fan of the voice.
his voice is too nasally and it's
I
too
can't. I don't know if I can sit through a whole movie with
yeah,
hearing
but
it, especially because they said Timothy Chalamet did an amazing job. So
yeah.
I don't know, but
But we'll
hmm,
see. And
we'll
Conclave,
see.
Conclave, we watched Friday or yes, Friday.
Friday,
Friday we
Friday
watched
night.
Conclave, and that
Hmm.
wow,
It was really good. I
Conclave was a
think
really
that
good
it was,
film.
this whole time, Amelia Perez has been the one movie. Well, Wicked too, but Conclave's up there for me too. That was
Yeah.
so good. It was really good.
Conclave is a gripping Vatican thriller that delves into the secretive and high stakes process of electing a new pope. It's got a stellar cast led by Ralph Fiennes, and
Fines.
directed by Edward Berger. The film masterfully combines political intrigue, moral dilemmas, and suspense, making it a standout contender for Best Picture. Everybody did a brilliant and amazing job with
Oh,
that.
so good.
100%.
So good. John Lithgow and Stanley Tucci. Oh, please. Can they just be in every movie? Can they just be
Yes.
And Ray Fiennes, obviously, but um
Ralph
can they
Fiennes.
just be in everything? Ralph Fiennes. Did I say Ray? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
we'll get
Ralph.
those. We'll get him. You called him Ray last night too when we were watching it.
Did I?
Yeah, you
Oh
did.
God.
Maybe
Oh
it's my
geez,
dad. My
Elton.
dad's probably thinking about us. See, that's why it keeps coming up Ray. My,
Maybe.
my father's Ray. So, yeah,
That must be it.
that must have been
Anyway,
it.
but Stanley Tucci and John Lithgow are two of my favorites anyway, and um yeah, I'd love to see them in everything. So,
I'd agree. Conclave, I think, especially with the intrigue. My understanding
mhm,
is that I've learned when I did a little research on it. The fact is, I grew up Catholic, so it's kind of one of those things where I understand it from the Catholic perspective and the importance of
mhm,
what was taking place in conclave and how and why. But what this does is go behind the scenes of selecting a pope because the other
mhm.
one, had passed on, and the backstabbing, the intrigue, the deceit, the so much more that goes on that may
may go on.
yeah, disclaimer here, we're just talking about the movie
Yeah, we're not
um,
saying it does.
that's going on behind the scenes here is
Hmm.
like, really, I mean, it enthralls you. And the soundtrack isn't overwhelming, which is great,
Hmm.
There are a few startling parts in there that pop
Yeah.
up, but for the most part, I think that Conclave is worth watching, especially if you are of the Catholic faith and or support the Pope in any form, because you don't have to be
Mm.
Catholic to support the Pope
No,
and what they
I'm
stand
not
for.
Catholic, and I love Pope Francis, and I hope he's going to be okay.
Yeah, but it's and they they trivia that I had read said that they followed the procedures pretty
Hmm.
much to the T in
Hmm.
regard of the process that we watch and the sequester and the way they're sequestered and the process of the vote and the what
Hmm.
happens if they have to re-vote and what happens to the ballots and all of those aspects were all exactly what happens. That's
I
how
think
they
it's,
perform and do.
I thought it was really interesting to see the process. And, some people might say, well, why do they still do that? That's ridiculous. That's like such an old
Like antiquated.
thing, an antiquated system. I think it's kind of cool, I guess, to keep traditions like that the way they are, not change anything. I mean,
Like
it's
to a
kind of
point.
like, I don't want to call it pomp and circumstance, but I guess in a way, sort of is. I don't know. I found it to be really intriguing that that's what takes place.
Well, and I think that it gives us it gives us an idea that obviously, even though we have cardinals, we have bishops, and if you know the hierarchy in the Catholic Church, you have your priest and you have your nuns, but then you also have bishops and cardinals, and you have it goes on up the line to the Pope.
Hmm.
In understanding that hierarchy and how it operates, and it's similar to it's like a police department or military or
Right.
fire department. You have lieutenants, you have sergeants, you have captains, you have
Hmm.
assistant chiefs and chiefs, and this kind of thing, or sheriff and an under sheriff. Um, it looking at it from that perspective, you don't think about that. You see how it functions, you see how it operates, but you don't really think about the hierarchy of what takes place, and then the intrigue behind it, and the fact that they're human beings, and there are
Yeah.
things that are coming out in regard to it. It is well worth watching it. We
Hmm.
watch it on Peacock, and if you subscribe to Peacock, then you can get it. Um, so yeah, I think it's something that's absolutely
It's great. It's
worth
a
seeing.
really good movie.
Um, but then we come to um, kind of the opposite spectrum.
Oh, very opposite. Extremely opposite.
What are we
Yes.
talking about?
Honora.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it is. It's interesting because Nora, we wasn't sure what we were in for with Nora. We obviously could read it, we heard about it. It's a gripping indie drama
Yeah.
by Sean Baker exploring the life of a Brooklyn sex worker and her tumultuous romance with a Russian oligarch son. And it is a front runner for its raw storytelling and standout performances. Well, it absolutely does that.
Hmm.
I mean, it absolutely does that.
It
Hey, one second.
they're calling it a Cinderella story with heart, or a heartfelt Cinderella story. Some people were calling it. Um, in my opinion, now I think everybody that acted in it did a great job,
Yeah.
honestly. Um, and I'm gonna show my age here. I know I am. I'm gonna seem like the old woman who's like, get off my lawn. I don't know, whatever. But the music is too damn loud. Stop
Yes.
it. Stop it.
Yes.
And and too much music over dialogue. It's driving me crazy. Why are movies doing this all the time? And it's always rap music. Just fine. I don't have anything against rap music,
Well,
but they
rap
are
or hip
using
hop.
it way too much in the movies, and they are overdoing doing it over the dialogue, and it drives me insane.
Rap or
That's one
hip
thing.
hop. Hip hop.
Or hip hop. Yes, hip hop. I guess it was more hip hop than rap. Yes,
Yeah.
correct. Second thing is, I get it. She's a sex worker. We understand that, but this really bordered on soft porn, which doesn't, I mean, I'm fine. I'm not a prude or anything, but if you're not expecting that, if somebody's like going to the show thinking it's like this rom com, like a not necessarily a rom com,
Well,
but
a
there's more
heartfelt
romance in it,
romance. They say a heartfelt romance.
there's hardly any romance in this movie. It is sex. It is bordering on soft porn. Like you see a lot of stuff. So just be forewarned on that.
Sex,
Um,
drugs, and hip hop.
a lot of drugs, a lot of drugs, a lot of drinking, a lot of drugs, a lot of sex, way too loud music, and
Now,
a lot of screaming, screaming, screaming.
now, of
Like
course, we sound like a couple old people going, "What the hell?" But in
40% of the
reality,
movie. Yeah.
exactly what the hell. It is.
Oh,
It is like I said. Respect to the people that did it. Respect to the fact
yeah.
that they're independent filmmakers and they took it upon themselves to create this film. But
Yeah.
I think the message is lost in certain aspects, and this is coming from an objective perspective.
Yeah.
Again, we're not prudes. You
Mm-mm.
know, we don't mind soft porn if it's
I mean,
done
sure,
tastefully.
whatever. Just
But
wasn't expecting it and so much of it. But anyway,
exactly, again, and
yeah.
I think it's too loud. And there's, but for the younger crowd, maybe that's what they're looking for. Maybe that's what they need. I guess. I don't understand. This is one of those ones that I really don't understand why it's an Oscar nominee.
I don't,
I just
me neither.
don't.
I don't get it.
I
I don't
don't
get
get it.
it.
And look,
Mm-mm.
we have watched other films in the past that had the same type of atmosphere that were Oscar nominees, but this I think stepped over the line just a little bit. I
Mm-hmm.
do not understand why this is an Oscar nominee. I would say obviously check it out for yourself. Make sure whether or not you feel that it's something that you want to check out, especially if they win. But they do have nominations. It is probably worth a watch, but be forewarned that
Yeah. Don't watch it with kids. Just do not do that.
definitely don't watch it
Um,
with kids.
yeah, or even mixed company. Don't watch it with your elderly parents.
Don't watch it
They
with your
probably
parents
won't appreciate it. Um,
or your grandparents.
um,
Hey, grandma, I got a
it's
movie for you.
look, yeah, no, don't do that. Unless you really want to give your grandmother a heart attack. And please don't do that. Um, it's not the worst movie I've ever seen. There were some good parts. Um, they we also saw or heard a description or watched something they were talking about said that oh, I know what it was. They were interviewing some of the stars of it, and they said, "Oh, when I read the script and it was so funny and blah blah blah." Okay, it's not that funny. There wasn't there were a few funny
There's
parts that you
funny
kind of
parts.
chuckle at. This definitely is not a comedy to me at all.
No, I don't see it
Um,
as a comedy.
it
Actually,
it shows
I don't actually
it,
see it
it
as a
shows the
romance either.
brattiness. I well, okay, I kind of got the romance at the very, 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 very end, which is also soft porn. There's like soft porn and romance, like like just at the very, very end. The message I took away from it, if they were trying to put forth a message, here's what I got from it. Young women, still to this day, even after Me Too, after everything else that's gone on, and how much we fought for equality, um, and for not putting ourselves in positions of being violated, still to this day, young women, early 20s, I guess, tend to feel that the only skill they have is to use their bodies and that that's the only way they're going to be appreciated. And the message I took away from it was that's not the case because at the end she is seen for so much more. But it's very subtle, very, very, very subtle, and you have to catch it. So if that's the message, great,
Well,
I got it.
and the individual we'll talk about this in a few minutes, but the male, the one that plays
Are you talking about Igor?
Igor. Well,
Igor? I
yeah,
don't
we
remember
always
how they
pronounce it
pronounced it.
Igor, but in the movie, it's Igor.
Is it?
He's like the first Russian that has been nominated in this particular category.
I loved him. He
Which,
was my favorite character in the
yeah,
whole movie.
so
Yeah.
he's the first Russian actor that has been nominated from that perspective. So,
Mm-hmm.
it was a good movie,
Mm-hmm.
but you'll have to decide for yourself whether or not you feel that it is Oscar worthy a movie because we've
Of the
seen
ones we saw, that was the only one that I don't get
why it's in the category.
why it's
Again,
in the
everybody
category.
did a great job,
Yeah,
really great
yeah.
job because obviously it shows the insight out of several things, including the
Hmm.
reality and the nature of relationships and self esteem and what we think our purpose is and so forth. You see a lot of that, and I believe that it allows a perspective in that,
Hmm.
and in the hierarchy, also in regard to societal norms and what people have expectations of, because
Yeah,
there's a fight in there um, where you get to see that you don't fit in our society. You
right.
don't fit in what we feel
Our
is our
world.
family, our world. You're not
Hmm.
a fit in this world, and you never will be. Period.
I think also how easy it can be for someone to, if you are introduced to a different world than
Yeah,
what you live in, and it affords you a lot of things that you never thought you would even be have,
that you
right?
get sucked
Even for
in.
a moment, that you can get sucked in so fast and not see what's really happening in front of you.
Yeah, I
Because
agree.
boy, we could see it. We could see that it, it was like, what are you doing with him?
Yeah.
What what are you doing? So,
Well,
okay, so as we're talking about this more, now I'm seeing, okay, maybe it had more substance than we realized.
well,
Maybe it did.
but we're parents, okay, and we're parents of
Yeah.
daughters. So in being parents from daughters, you look at this movie in a different light. It's a different
Yeah.
perspective because we're looking at it as a parent of kids that are not much older than this actress that's in this role.
Hmm.
So you, when we're looking at that, I think from our perspective, we're looking at it from this. So it might be a little biased in that regard, but at the
Yeah.
same time, we're also objective and we know what we like. We watch a lot of movies, a lot of TV, and you can see the differences in how movies are made in the cinematography and the presentation and the premise and the concepts. And you
Hmm.
have the concept. I think is a really good concept.
Hmm.
I think that in some parts it was kind of done. It's a little overdone in some areas, a
Yes.
little underdone in
Yes.
other areas. That
Yeah.
that's the that's
Yeah.
the way we
And I
can leave that.
and really the concept of it, I could see it being made into a rom-com. Like it that could have been the concept itself could have been a rom-com.
Yeah, because I'm sure the concept came from the original Pretty Woman.
Right. And that's what some people are saying. They're like, it's Pretty Woman on steroids. Okay, well,
More than
yeah,
steroids.
sure.
We'll say
Yeah.
more than
It's
steroids.
it's
So,
it's not really Pretty Womanish to me, for me,
no.
but I'm a huge Pretty Woman fan. That's one of my top 10 all-time movies. So it's
And we
hard for me to compare it to that.
and we know the director. We knew the director
We met him. Yes, we did.
personally. So
Yes, and he kissed my hand.
he kissed your hand. He kissed me on
Yeah.
the cheek.
I think I got a kiss on the cheek too.
You
I don't
did.
remember.
You
Okay.
did. Right before he left, he
I
kissed
did.
you on the cheek.
Yeah.
Um,
Anyway,
so
very nice man.
yeah.
Love Gary Marshall.
So yeah. Anyway, yeah. So I would say that it's worth seeing, but just keep your eyes open. Your eyes will
Yeah.
be open, but I mean, just keep your.
Just
So
be
yeah.
prepared for what you're going to see because you're going to see
Yep.
a lot of stuff. It was a good movie. It was not a bad. It was not the worst movie I've ever seen by far. Um, it's just I'm confused why it's where it's at. But then as we're talking about it and we're picking it apart, maybe that's why.
Could be. Well, we'll
Yeah.
leave it at that.
Yeah.
And we got the pleasure of watching The Substance with Demi Moore.
Hmm.
We're fans of Demi Moore. We have been ever since she came on the scene many, many, many years ago.
I used to watch her on General Hospital.
I never watched her on General Hospital. Well, I may
Yeah.
have because my mother used to watch General Hospital, but I think this was probably for my
That was like late 70s.
late 70s. So
Late
yeah,
70s, early 80s. Yeah.
maybe I did see
Like
her. And
79, 80.
I just didn't know who she was because was that the
Yeah.
Luke and Laura time?
Yeah, it was around there. Maybe a little bit after, slightly after.
Huh.
Um, but she had scenes with Luke, so I mean, he was still there.
Then maybe I did
Um,
see her in General Hospital.
I think that was her first thing, or maybe very early thing.
Well, so many other things.
Anyway,
She's a brilliant actress. She really is. She's been on
yeah,
the scene for a
yeah,
long time. She's part of the
yeah.
Brat Pack, and
Hmm.
we decided to watch The Substance. We rented it. It
Hmm.
was like $6, so something like that was easy for us to rent. It's a
So worth it.
chilling body horror film, and we're not big fans of horror films.
Mm-mm.
We really aren't. We watch a lot of stuff, but we're not real big fans of horror films. We have watched a few. But,
Hmm.
I'm not into the Halloweens. I'm not into, Freddy Krueger, although I was on a
Oh
film with
no,
Freddy Krueger. I'm just saying
Nightmare on
me.
Elm Street.
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street. I will watch those. Yes, I
Do,
love those.
do you remember when I came home? I came home from the
Yes.
set and I went, oh, yeah, I met this great guy. We had a great conversation while we were sitting around waiting for our scenes to get done. And I said, it said, oh, I forgot his name.
I did too.
And I told you that I had this great conversation with an actor named Robert England, and
Yeah.
and you yelled at
And
me,
I'm
Freddy
like,
Krueger.
what? You sat down with Freddy Krueger? Are you kidding?
Oh, yeah,
You're like, oh, is that who
In
he is?
between scenes, we were sitting around. We were having just BSing and bullshitting and talking and having a good time, and and he goes, what do you do for a living? For obviously, what do you do for a living? I said I was a cop. He goes, you're a fucking cop. I went, yeah. And so yeah,
And that's what you were playing. That's what you were playing in the movie.
that's what I was playing in the movie. Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
I
We
was
should
playing
name the movie. We should talk about the movie because people
Strangeland.
have recognized you from it. It's Strangeland. That's the
Strangeland.
movie.
I played a cop in
Written
Strangeland. Written,
written by Dee
produced,
Snider.
and yeah, written, produced, and directed by.
By Dee Snider,
Yeah.
who you also liked.
Yes. In fact,
Yes.
when I met with Dee Snider, this is a little off track, but when I met with Dee Snider, remember we went down. I had to meet them in a hotel room,
Hmm.
and sounds kind of ominous, doesn't it? I had to meet them in a
Yeah.
dark hotel room in a dark
Not
street.
a great thing all the time to do.
But they were going over stuff, and they had to make a prosthetic for me because they were supposed to go one way. But after Dee Snider and I had a talk in there for the longest time, he changed my part and
Hmm.
said, "We're not going to kill you. We're going to do this, this, and this, and this." And I went, "Hey, that's
Because
freaking cool, man."
the prosthetic they were making was so that you could have your throat slit.
Correct.
Yeah.
And they
And then you
rewrote the
ended up
scene
not
so
doing that.
that I didn't end up dying. So I thought that was kind
Yeah.
of kind of nice.
That's
And
pretty cool.
we were watching the movie in Colorado Springs. We were watching the movie, and as we were walking out, some dude went, "Hey, you did a great job," and recognized me
Yeah.
just sitting there. That was pretty kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, and we were at Disney World, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years later, maybe longer than that.
Oh yeah, they wouldn't feed us until I told them who I was.
Yeah. They were like, we know you. Who are you?
Yeah, the waitress says
It's
she's not,
funny.
they're not going to send your order out until you tell them who you are.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was kind of funny, kind of funny. Kind of funny. So
Anyway,
anyway, I can't say
yeah,
we haven't been in too many like horror films because that's kind of a little bit of a horror film,
we liked it.
or like it, but we like that one. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
she's got a very a bold narrative on a social commentary on and I don't think we're giving away too much, but because you know it right off the bat. In this industry that we're talking about, in this industry that we're celebrating
Hollywood.
tonight, Hollywood,
Hmm.
that we're celebrating tonight, unfortunately, they've always had this stipulation that when you reach a certain age, whether female or male, mostly female, that you're kind of dispensable. You're dis- dispendable. You could be thrown out.
You're
You
discarded.
discarded. And the fact is that emphasizes that part of the industry, and that's what the movie's pretty much about. You see it point blank. This is kind of what happens, and then the desperate attempt to hold on to what you were and
Hmm.
who you were and so forth. And
Hmm.
she absolutely deserved the Golden Globe that she won,
Yes.
and she absolutely deserves an Oscar nomination in
I
regard
hope
to
she
this.
wins. I hope
Uh,
she wins.
it was a good movie. It's intriguing. It keeps your attention. You really kind of
Yeah.
you want to follow it along. The only thing that I was really disappointed on was the very, very ending. I think they took it a
Yeah.
little over the top.
Yes, they did. It was it was a fantastic movie for me up until the very end.
Yeah.
Um, the ending went on way too long and came close to ruining the whole movie, honestly. It was I don't understand why they had to do with it. It almost looked like it was unedited for me. Like somebody forgot to edit the end. It was ridiculous and it made it way campy and stupid
It took
and
away the
it
message. For
really
me, it took
disappointed
away the
me.
message.
Yeah, it really disappointed me. Now, as a woman over 50, I must say it's not just Hollywood that women over 50 get treated like that. It is in everyday life,
And
especially
unfortunately,
when we decide, huh,
unfortunately, it's getting worse. You're going back to
unfortunately,
that.
and especially when we decide, as I have, to stop coloring my hair and go my natural gray, which is not exactly what I've wanted, but it's going anyway. Um, when we make those decisions for ourselves as women who are empowering ourselves to not be dictated by the societal norms, boy, do we get, boy, it's not just Hollywood, okay? It's every day. And so this movie really, really spoke to me because, and I've seen Demi say this in an interview too, that there's a lot of messages there about women in society, and they're right spot on. Um,
Hmm.
but the main message that she would like everyone to get from it is exactly what I got from it, is that we are our own worst critic. We are the ones that will beat ourselves up more than
Yeah,
anybody. And boy, does she beat herself up in this movie.
she really does. She
Oh
really
my
does.
goodness. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness. It's so good. So
it's a
good
good
though.
movie. And I mean, we rented it as well. I think it was like $6. It's worth a
So worth
rent.
it.
It really is worth a rent, and
It's worth a buy.
it's
We're
worth a
buying this
buy.
movie. Yes.
Yeah, if they
Yeah.
would change the ending slightly, slightly.
Yeah.
A portion of the ending,
I wish that would be
yeah,
different.
a portion of the ending was good. They need to
It was
keep,
tough.
but again, just a little bit over the top from our perspective. But it's worth watching. So just be prepared for the
Absolutely.
ending. I just hope that
Yeah.
the ending doesn't like ruin the message of the movie.
I
That's the
hope
only thing that I
not.
would fear. Being a father, I mean, I'm an advocate. I stand behind women. I try to do my best to empower women. I do it on the
Hmm.
show. I do it personally. I do it professionally. I do myself to put women in a position of power to where they can, tell their stories and inspire other people and motivate other people. I do that with
Yep.
try to do that with you. I try to do it with my sister. I try to
You
do it with
do.
our daughters.
Hmm.
And so forth. So from this perspective, I just hope it just doesn't
Because
lose.
it's an important message. It's
It
so,
is
so
so
important
much.
for people to get this.
So, um,
Yeah.
and Wicked. Let's talk about Wicked.
Hmm.
Wicked's a fantasy musical adaptation of the beloved Broadway show of Wicked, which is originated from Oz, Wizard of Oz. Features Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. Its visual spectacle and emotional depth have captured audiences all over the world now. And it is that we said it earlier, but we'll emphasize it. This is one movie you really need to see
In the theater.
in the movie theater if you have the opportunity to see it in the movie theater.
Hmm.
But to go to and through it a little more in depth because we just mentioned it earlier in this conversation. I personally loved it. I think that the epic nature of it and how they presented it and the cinematography and the visual perspectives of it were just outstanding.
Yeah.
And
It it's beautiful. It's a beautiful movie.
it's a
It's
beautiful movie.
beautifully shot, and Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. I mean, can't even. I mean,
No,
please. And they're going to sing. They're supposed to sing tonight. I'm so excited. I'm
well,
so
and
excited.
and realistically, speaking of singing, and it's a trivia. We've watched some behind the scenes stuff on this.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
both insisted. Normally, when I'm going to give a little secret away, and you may or may not know this about film and
Hmm.
movie. 90% of the time, anybody that's singing in a movie, it's been dubbed in.
Hmm.
It is
Hmm.
dubbed in, just like on a music video. Music videos are not sang live. Music videos
Right.
are dubbed in after they shoot everything that's going on, and they
Hmm.
they align the track to make it look like it's singing the way they are. So
Right.
they insisted on singing live. So what you see is what you
Hmm.
get. What you hear is
As
what you get.
and as they're flying through the air or dancing, in these huge dance numbers, they're
They're
singing,
they're singing. What
literally
you hear
singing.
is what you get, which is I think is like I it would not break my heart if Wicked won. I mean,
No, no, not at all.
of the movies that we've seen, I think that Wicked, Emilia Perez, Conclave, um, the let me see what else, uh,
Honora.
Anora. No, no. I don't think Anora needs to be best film.
No, I thought you
Um,
were just trying to go over the ones we've seen.
no. The
Oh,
Substance.
okay.
I think those Conclave. Uh, I think that each one of them deserved a win from
Yeah.
those perspectives. The ones that we haven't seen, obviously, we haven't seen The Brutalist, which is the historical epic about a Holocaust survivor turned architect in post-war America, which I had mentioned earlier. Adrian Brody's
Hmm.
performance in the film stunning cinematography, which I've seen some of in some clips that I had seen, makes it a strong contender. We didn't see it because so I can't comment on that. It may
Hmm.
be in the same class,
Hmm.
but it's kind of one of those things that I can't comment on that. Same thing with the
Right.
complete unknown. Nickel Boys, same thing. And I'm
Hmm.
still here. I'm still here, from what I understand, is like an amazing opportunity to get involved and be brought into a person's life in I'm Still Here.
Hmm.
And I think that it is a foreign film also.
Hmm.
Um, but again, we can't comment on whether or not they fit within that. But the
Hmm.
everybody so far that we know of, at least what we've watched, I think deserve to be an Oscar contender.
Hmm.
And it's just my personal opinion, and I know that you agree, except for Anora. I think Anora is
Hmm.
it's a good film, but it doesn't belong as an Oscar contender, I think.
Yeah. I'm not sure how that happened, but um, um, yeah, Wicked. I, I'm really surprised at this to this point in award season that they haven't won more. I
Yeah, I
think
mean,
everybody was expecting them
them
to
to win a
kind of
lot
sweep
more.
everything, and they haven't.
And I think they did with I have to go back and look, maybe the Golden Globes. I think they won some stuff with the Golden Globes. They won some
I
stuff
don't
from
think
SAG,
I don't
but not major stuff, which is
I
kind of
don't think I we watched the Golden Globes, and I don't remember them coming away with much. I don't know. Maybe I'm just completely out of it. It
um
could be.
we're running long on our conversation, but
Yeah.
so real quick, I'm gonna make sure a list there'll be a list available in the show notes that can take you right directly to a blog post that will have the list of every contender here, everything from
Hmm.
film to best actor to best foreign film, cinematography, writing, screenwriting, the whole bit. I'll have a list there so
Hmm.
everybody can see it. But in a nutshell, best actor up. Adrian Brody for The Brutalist. He's a seasoned actor delivering a career-defining performance as a Holocaust survivor, as we said earlier. Timothy Chalamet, complete unknown, playing Bob Dylan. And we saw some stuff behind the scenes this morning as well in regard to that. Everybody says he really embodied Bob Dylan. So if you like Bob Dylan or Timothy Chalamet, I think it's worth a thing.
Hmm.
The Ralph Fiennes in Conclave, Ralph Fiennes in anything he does is really been, an
Hmm.
outstanding. And obviously, his the rest of the cast, contributes. On all of these films, the rest of the cast contributes. His
Hmm.
riveting portrayal in a religious thriller. That's a nice way to put that, religious thriller.
We're just yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Just added another stellar role to Fiennes' repertoire. Sebastian Stan, The Apprentice, a compelling turn in historical drama,
We,
solidifying Stan's place among Hollywood's elite.
which we
Um,
actually do need to see that too. We have not seen that.
we do need to see that. But
We
it
need to
was
see that.
limited release, and we didn't get it here in Arizona.
Hmm.
When they finally got it put out, it was limited release. Best
Hmm.
Actress, Cynthia Erivo for Wicked, a portrayal of Elphaba. Has been lauded for
Alphaba,
emotional Elphaba.
Alphaba,
That's it,
Alphaba.
Elphaba. Yeah, we love the film, but I can't pronounce the name. Local proudness,
Ooh.
Carter Sofia Gascon, Amelia Perez, making history with the first openly transgender nominee. It's groundbreaking and moving. Mikey
Mhm.
Madison for Honora is a raw and heartfelt performance that has resonated with the audience. Demi Moore with The Substance, transformative role
Mm.
in a bold film, earning Moore her first Oscar nomination. Fernanda Torres, I'm Still Here, a poignant portrayal of resilience and identity, making her stand out is the same thing. So the 97th Academy Awards, hosted by Conan and Bryan, will air live coast to coast on Sunday, today, March 2nd, from the
Mhm.
Dolby Theater at Ovation Hollywood, starting at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern. So
Mhm.
you just have enough of time to listen to this and then watch the show.
Yes. So go do it.
That would
And
that
I'm going to
would
go
be it.
watch the red carpet now.
And again, I'll have a complete list of the 2025 Oscar nominations that you can grab off of our website, beforeyougopodcast.com. I also have a tap link in there. You can get it off of that as well in the show notes so that you can go right directly to the blog post and copy it and take it down and take it with you while you watch. So,
Mhm.
you got any last words? Since it's
Nope.
one more
Gotta
thing.
go watch. Gonna go watch the red carpet. Let's go.
So, one more thing before you all go. Have a great day. Have a great week. And thank you for being here. Go enjoy the Oscars.
Oscars. Woo!
Thanks for listening to this episode of One More Thing Before You Go. Check out our website at beforeyougopodcast.com. You can find us as well as subscribe to the program and rate us on your favorite podcast listening platform.